I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times it so fast. But baby, would you hold my hand in love? I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times it go so fast. But baby, you hold my hand in love.
Welcome to Earthtide Studios. I'm Zach Knight, and in today's video, we are looking at how to fix a bad recording in a mix. Quick caveat, you can't actually really fix a bad recording, but you can certainly make it sound pretty good in the mix, and I've got a few tips and tricks on showing you how to do that. We also have a free vocal production course that teaches the basics of recording, editing, and mixing your vocals. Just click the link below and it's yours, and that can help you actually avoid this problem. And now, let's try and fix this mix. So we're here in the session, guys, and we're looking at a track that I did for a client in 2020. This is a song that they ended up using a hybrid version of the original demo as the final release and actually didn't use the mix. But I just wanted to show you a good way of taking something that definitely could use a lot of help and turning it into something that's quite usable, really not going from too much as well at the start. So the first thing that I did when I got this song was I went through and I started breaking down all of the different takes that came in the song and looking at what needed to be done to, make things serviceable, make things usable in the mix. So the first thing that I did was actually go through and have a look. Now, we've got the song itself has guitars, some samples, a whole bunch of live sounding real drums, as well as sampled drums. So we've got, some hi-hats and some kicks. We've also got some kicks as well. And there's a whole bunch of other different cymbal samples as well. We've got some things that I've added in as well. And then there was an 808 MIDI track that came, but there was no 808 that was provided, so I had to come up with one. The vocal tracks that actually came with the song, however, there was only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So a lot of this other stuff is things that I've actually made. So the main thing that you need to do is you look over the top of the song, throw all of the raw tracks in the session, get a sort of an even level going on, and have a listen to what you've got in there. And the first thing that I noticed when I actually pulled up all of the tracks and listened to this song was that there was a lot of things that really were needed some reinforcement, things that were definitely missing in terms of either the right sound or just something that could definitely help with the part a bit more. So there was a lot of replacement and also adjustment and altering that I did of some of the original things to help get this song sounding good in the mix. So we're going to break down those elements first, and then I'll actually look at the mix at the end of this video. So stay tuned if you want to watch that and grab some information on that. I'm actually going to do a separate video in the future breaking down the full mix of this song, because it's sort of a bit of an emo trap kind of style song, in a bit of a style similar to like Ian Dior and Poor Stacy and other artists like that. So I definitely think there's a lot of mixing tips that I've got in here that could be quite valuable. But for now, we're just looking at where we went from sort of getting the original tracks to understanding how we needed to adjust those and get everything going, so then we could actually mix the song and end up coming up with something that was definitely serviceable and releasable and that sounded really good. Let's get stuck into looking at those separate elements now, starting off with vocals. So breaking down the tracks that we had in the song originally, we had this vocal, which is the main vocal. This is actually the other two vocals that I had here as well, and what I've done is I've panned them left and right, already edited and tuned these ones and bounced them as a stereo track, but I'm actually going to show you, based off the main vocal, what the original vocal sounded like. We also had an ad-lib track here, for the main vocal, for the main vocalist, because there's two vocalists in this song. And then for the other vocalists, we also had this main track here. This is a left and right that I've also edited, bounced, and tuned as well. And then we had a solo harmony track here and a solo ad-lib track as well. So I'll just play the main vocal for you as it came in at the start.
I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times have gone so fast. But baby, will you hold my hand at last?
So as you can hear, the vocal definitely needs some editing, and it also needs some tuning, but there's also quite a lot of room noise in the vocal as well. What I've had to do is actually help remove that first before actually dealing with the editing and the tuning as well. So let's get rid of this and I'll show you where the vocal was after I did the editing and tuning. I do have some videos that show how to edit and tune vocals. You can check them out. But for now, I'm going to skip that part in this video just to make it easier. So I'll show you where we are with the updated, edited, and tuned vocal. This is what it sounds like before I remove any room noise.
I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said was whack.
Actually, correction to that. I do remember in the editing and tuning session, the initial one, I did actually initially already print and remove some room noise first, the first time round, but I'll show you how I did it again so that I could deal with the excessive room noise there was in that main vocal. So what we're using here is we are using X Noise from Waves. This is a fantastic plugin that's very, very useful for removing room noise. And what I've done is I'll show you how you do it. I will actually go back to the original sound that we have from the vocal afterwards, the original mix sound from the vocal. But what I'll do is I'll show you how you work out the actual sound of the vocal where there's the room noise. Now, let's see if we can find a spot, if there's any left of where there was room noise.
I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said was whack.
I think we probably can't in this one because I have actually edited it out. So let's grab the original vocal instead.
I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times have gone so fast. But baby, will you hold my hand at last? I know I gotta earn you back.
Here we go. So we'll take a spot just here. And what I'm going to do is I'll just adjust it so that we've got this section here just looping. There is a breath happening here, but there's definitely a decent amount of room noise in there still. And what we're going to do is we'll loop that section, and then in the plugin itself, we are going to get the plugin to relearn what is going on in there. So I'll turn this one off. We'll make a new version of X Noise. Now, in this particular case, I believe we have this as a mono track, so I've got a mono version of the plugin. The threshold is all the way down, reduction's all the way down, and the resolution is high. And I personally like the resolution as high because it just means in this section here you can see the waveform a little bit better. But if you have CPU issues, you can also just reduce that as well. So we're going to listen for this room noise now, and I'm going to play back. It's going to sound a little bit strange as it loops, but this is what you're listening for. You can hear there's that room noise that's, definitely something that we don't want in the vocal. So I'm going to play it and we're going to click learn, and we're going to get the plugin to learn the room noise. So now that it's learned the room noise, what we can do is we can increase or decrease the threshold, and that will actually adjust. This is the room noise itself. This is actually the waveform pattern of what it's picking up in terms of the frequencies of where the room noise is sitting, and the reduction will increase or decrease the amount of reduction happening on the room noise. So we'll have a listen now as we increase and decrease the threshold. So what you want to do is you want to have that threshold higher than the actual vocal itself. Otherwise, it's not going to reduce any room noise. So first up, you do that and listen to the main vocal, and then we work out whether or not we actually do need to adjust the reduction as well.
But baby, will you hold my hand at last? I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times have gone so fast. But baby, will you hold my hand at last?
So first thing I'm noticing is we definitely don't need to increase the reduction, as the threshold is already bringing, you notice that red spike coming down. The threshold is already bringing that room noise down quite a lot. Now we're going to close this instance of X noise now and remove it. And we will load up the one that has been used in the mix. And as you can see, we've gone for a threshold of 39.9. So, and the room noise is, the curve is pretty similar. It does adjust every time that you use the plugin, but we'll just have a listen to what it's doing now.
But baby, will you hold my hand at last? I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times have gone so fast. But baby, will you hold my hand at last?
So as you can see, it's definitely helping deal with that room noise there. In respect to that as well, I've then gone through all of the other vocal takes and adjusted and checked the room noise on all of those other vocal takes and removed that as well. So now you can presume that all of the rest of the vocal takes, I have done that in the vocals. And now with the graphical tuning that I've just done using Cubase and the editing, this is what the vocal sounded like now.
I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times have gone so fast. But baby, will you hold my hand at last?
Now, the vocal is sounding quite in tune already with the graphical tuning that I did using Cubase. You could also use Melodyne, or you could use Auto-Tune in graphic mode, or, you know, if you were not using Cubase and you're using Logic, you could use the Logic tuner. It's really just down to what, you know, suits you with the DAW. But I know for this particular style of song, the tuning is definitely still not sufficient and we need to use Auto-Tune. So what I've got is I've got an instance of Auto-Tune here, and I've picked the key of the song is actually G minor, but I've gone with a chromatic tuning as well instead. I've put that tuning on with a retune speed of about 20 and a little bit of flex tune, and we'll have a listen to what it's doing now.
I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times have gone so fast. But baby, will you hold my hand at last?
And without?
I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times have gone so fast. But baby.
So as you can see, it's definitely just controlling that tuning a lot better and helping the vocal sit closer to the way it's going to in that style. I have put the tuning, and obviously I've put the tuning and the noise removal on all the vocals that were required, and so then printed them as is for the mix session, just to make it a little bit easier when I get into the mix, so that way I have less plugins that are required in the mixing project. Just definitely saves CPU and just makes things a little bit smoother. Now we've addressed all of the editing and tuning and noise removal required for the vocals. The next thing that I noticed in the song was that I felt that there were a few parts that were really definitely could have helped be there to help the production of the song. So what I've done is actually have gone through and added a whole bunch of extra vocals in the main vocal in the song itself. So we'll have a look at what we've got here. Now, this first part here is a reverse vocal of the main vocal. So this vocal here has been printed, and then I've got a copy of that vocal here, and then I've got a reverse reverb version of it here, and then we've also got a low octave version of the vocal here as well. Now I'm going to show how to do this production technique in a separate video, but I'll just show you what it sounds like quickly.
I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said
It's quite cool. The vocal's reversing into itself and it sounds very nice, especially over the top of what we've got going on at the start. The reverse vocal itself is too loud currently at the moment, but that's just a mixing issue, so that's, you know, something that we can easily do. I've done that in this editing session just because I was already going to do it then, but it is definitely something that you can do in the mixing session as well. There's also this low octave vocal as well, which is the main vocal duplicated, and all I've done is I've pitched it down an octave in auto tune, as you can see here, and we'll show you what it sounds like.
I know I gotta earn you back. I know the
And with the main vocal,
Know the shit I said was whack. I know.
sounds great. Definitely very usable and very appropriate for this style. The next thing that I've done in the session is I've also made a higher version of the original verse vocal. So this is the verse vocal over here.
Your eyes, they shine like stars in the night sky.
You can hear in that vocal particularly, there's a lot of room noise. And, you know, just as a caveat, I removed room noise from that vocal already using X noise, and there's still a lot there. So I felt like the part needed to be kind of complemented, but also masked a little bit by some other sounds. So I've got a lower version of the vocal here, which is just the vocal pitched down an octave with auto-tune.
Your eyes, they shine like stars in the night sky.
And it still doesn't quite sound right. So what I've done is I've also pitched up the vocal an octave, but this time I used Little Altar Boy. Instead, I pitched it up an octave, made sure that the formant shifted up an octave as well. I've overdriven it quite a lot. And then after that, we've actually filtered the vocal quite a lot with FabFilter Pro Q2, filtering it at 30 or 385, just under 4.5K, and also scooped out a bit of mid-range. Let's have a listen to what that sounds like.
Your eyes, they shine like stars in the night sky. I know I fucked up, but baby, I'ma make things right tonight.
That's definitely helped mask any of the issues that were there with that vocal having a lot of that room noise. Plus, it's made it sound pretty cool. And in the mix, this is not the mix session, but in the scope of the song, it definitely makes it to sound a little bit better.
Your eyes, they shine like stars in the night sky.
Regarding the vocals as well, there was one other additional thing. For the secondary vocalist, I just duplicated the main vocal here, down the octave, but I've only had it come in on keywords like this.
I know that I'm fucking stupid sometimes.
So you can see it kind of works. It's definitely nothing over the top, but it's just appropriate for the song. Next up in the song, we have the drums and the percussion. Now, as the song was given to me, there was a few tracks, but most of it was MIDI. This is actually, I believe these are the tracks that we were given at the start. So I'll show you what they sound like. Very, very straightforward and definitely not bad. I do believe that this snare is actually, the snare was actually triggered from the MIDI, and I might have printed it as is. I know this splash sound was provided, but otherwise everything that is there is what was given to me. So the first thing that I did was I actually took all of the MIDI and put it into Superior Drummer and then printed out some different versions of some things that helped make the drums sound a little bit more real. The first thing that I did with that was actually print out this room mic here from the Toms. So we'll just put those back in now and we'll see what they sound like. It's very, very subtle. It's not very loud at all. But there's also this room reverb here of the whole drums. I printed the whole drums and put them all through a reverb. instantly that makes it sound a lot more real in terms of the scope of the song. The other thing that we've done in the session down here is we've also added in an additional snare room and an additional snare as well. And let's have a listen to what it sounds like with that. It just helps it sound a little bit more like a real sound, which definitely goes with the way that the song was going, because obviously in this particular style, we're gelling real sounds with obviously a lot of electronic stuff. So you want to make sure you've got that nice balance going on. However, I did find that the actual percussion that was going on was just a little bit too straightforward. So what I've done is we've got two different loops going here in this song. These are some ones that I grabbed from Make Pop Music. I like some of the stuff that they've got going on there, and this one really sort of complements the song itself. I've cut it up and adjusted it in a bunch of different ways, but this is what it sounds like. And then the next loop over here. And then there's a third one over here. As the song is very much continues on and on and on and on, I wanted to have those differences happening there in the loops to help make things sound a little bit different as we went on along the song. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff that kicks in at the end of the song that we've done to really make this drums sound much more up, big, full, and real when it kicks in here. So this is what we had as the original. Now I'll get rid of the drum room reverb there, the tom reverb. I'll also get rid of the secondary snare, the snare room. So this is what we had of the original song. Sounds kind of, a little bit meh, especially over here. So what I've done is we've got the printed reverb here, and we also have a room mic for the tom, the second tom. We also have some overheads. These are actually some room sounds here. So this has been put into, I believe I put this into Get Good Drums and actually printed the different room sounds there for the samples, and also printed out some cymbals as well. So I put all the cymbals in too. And now what we're going to do is we're going to play all the drums together with all the loops and all the real drum sounds and have a listen to what it sounds like. I definitely do think that this loop is probably a little bit loud here, so we'll just bring those two down a little bit just for the sake of this video. Sounds much better, sounds far more like a real drum kit. Definitely I did go through and adjust some of the MIDI as well to make sure that the velocities worked and made things sound a little bit more like a real drum kit. I didn't put too much work into it though. There's a few timing things that I could do to push and pull with the kicks and the snares and some of the cymbal placement as well to make things sound even more real, but it definitely worked well in the mix as is. So next up was guitars, and with the guitars there were two guitar parts in the entire song, and one of them pretty much just went through the whole song, and it was very much quite straightforward. I'll just show you what it sounds like on its own with nothing happening. This was what I was given for the song itself, just here. That's it. That's literally all that we had been given for the song, and we had to make that work for pretty much the whole song. There are some lead parts which are in the mix session that I'll show you, but for now that was just guitar DIs as well. And we needed to make that sound kind of cool, a bit pop punk, bit emo, and also special across the whole song. And so what I've actually had to do is we've had to create separate different parts in terms of the processing for all the different guitars. So the first thing that we've got is we've got these main left and right guitars. So this is a left and a right guitar. And I actually had to go through and edit all of these guitars to make them work within the scope of the song as well, because there was a bunch of noise with them. I do have a videos that shows how to edit guitars, so you can check that out if you do want to learn how to edit guitars. But I'll show you what they sound like after what I did here, which is just used THU from Slate. When it loads up here, and I use this as a nice sim. I just went with the classic crunchy rhythm humbucker style preset. I turned on this is kind of like a tube screamer style pedal, pushed the tone all the way, put the drive down the middle. I left this phaser alone, and then onto the amp itself. It's driven quite a bit. The mids are really pushed, as is the treble as well, and the presence and the volume is quite loud, but the level is not too high. We're going with this modern cab, and then the reverb has been left off. So I will show you what that sounds like now. So it sounds pretty cool, and it's already showing, promise to sound like a pretty decent guitar. And that's actually the main sound that I left for the guitar in the song, in the scope of the way that it works with the rest of the song. Keep in mind this is not the mix session, but that's definitely quite usable and quite mixable. So at the start of the song, I actually filtered out these guitars to make them sound a little bit more nostalgic and work within the scope of the song, and also just make it less boring. So I've used the same amp sim, the same settings, but what I did is we've gone with the Slate SSL channel, and this is on both guitars. I've used the CLA Filter Vox preset. I have turned off all of the EQ adjustments, made sure that the threshold is pushing it so that it's compressing it decently, and I've also turned off the analog sound, and we'll have a listen to what that sounds like just right now with that. Automatically it sounds a little bit better, but I wanted it to be more special still, so we have added a classic chorus, and I'm just using the Cubase chorus here. I've got it syncing 1:1. The width is at 7%, 15% mix, and we'll have a listen to what that's doing. With the scope of the song. Just sounds a little bit cooler, especially compared to the original guitars. However, I still feel like two different types of ways of processing the main guitar is not enough, so we needed to change it up and do something else again. So over here, we actually have a third style, and this is a secondary filter style that I've done for the guitar. We've gone with the same amp sim on there, and then after that, I've actually added on little altar boy, and I'll show you what I'm doing here. So I've actually pitched the guitar up an octave, and we've driven it further again, left it fully mixed, and the formant's shifted all the way up, and we'll listen to what that sounds like. It's going to sound very weird. Probably a little bit louder than it needed to be as well, but that's okay, because what I've done afterwards is we've actually filtered it down using the CLA Filter Vox preset, the same adjustments that I did on the filter guitar from before. Let's have a listen to that. It sounds quite hairy and weird. And I also just realized listening to it now that we actually have on this one, we have the phaser actually, it looks like it's activated there, and it's just coming in and doing a little bit of a small sweep on the phase there. It's definitely very cool adding that tiny little bit of difference there with the guitar. And then after that, we have some reverb here with Verb Suite Classics, just using the St. Sylvian preset. I've got it sitting at 30% mix, Width has been spread. Some of the high end's been taken off. No pre-delay. It's pretty big reverb. And then after that, we've also got some filtering here with Fab Filter, and I'm scooping out just below 500 and above 3000. Let's have a listen. So instantly that sounds a lot cooler. So now what I'll do is I'll show you the difference of the different guitars. So that's the filtered one, main one here. And then this is the filtered one with the super weird pitched one at the back. And then over here is a good example running from the main guitar to the filtered and pitched ones. So there's a lot of different dynamics happening there with the guitar simply by just treating it differently in the editing process or mixing process as you like. Obviously this is an editing session, but I've just decided to treat this as a way of processing the guitar differently, and then I've printed them just so that way when it gets into the mix I've got less CPU to deal with. So the other thing that we had in the song, I got given 808 MIDI, but I actually didn't have some 808 sounds to pick from. So I've got a few different ones here that I've added in. We're starting off here with just this formant sounding one. This is a formant pad kind of 808 sound. It sounds like this. It's pretty cool. It's kind of low, a bit creepy, and it works really nicely. And this one is also a Make Pop Music one. And then after that, we've also got this classic-y 808 kind of sound here as well. This one just gives it a little bit more thump. And with that 808, I've actually had that 808 follow the kick drum. And the last one that we've added in is this really nasty sounding 808. This is one that I've got layered underneath the kick as well, and it works quite nicely to really beef out that kick. Now all those 808s together. And I've actually adjusted the attack on some of these as well, just to make them sound a little bit different, and then printed that out to be used in the mix. So the only other thing that we've added in the song as well is we've got some real bass sounds from here, where I've actually programmed in the bass following along, and I've actually used Submission Audio's punk bass, and I've gone with this first bass sound here, and we'll have a listen to what that sounds like. And what I've done is I've actually programmed that bass to follow along with the guitars, but also to have a few little extra rhythmic hits that come in following along with the kicks and the 808s when the guitars have stopped. Just so that way it sounds a little bit different, there's a bit more movement going on. And I'll show you what that sounds like at the end there, just with the bass, the drums, and the guitar. Just adds a little bit more movement there with that bass coming in there at the end, and makes it sound a little bit more band-like, which is kind of the vibe for that last chorus section there. So that's the bass, and the next thing that I noticed is that with the original song, there was no dips. Everything just went continuously. And I thought, well, it would be worthwhile having a few adjustments and having a little bit of a difference in sound coming in from one of the verses to the next one. So what I've done is I actually really removed a whole bunch of guitars here and replaced it with synths. So we'll have a listen to what it sounds like.
Like a motherfucking carousel.
You can see how the filtering of the guitars really works when it kicks back in with the guitars here after that short break there as well, and having the guitars coming in full frequency for one hit and then filtering out for the second part. So we've got a couple of different synths going on here. They're all just following along with the bass, and then I've just added a few extra notes in some places. We've got this BA belly sound. And then I've also done the same thing, but I've just made it go lower. Sounds very cool. We've got this Moog sound here as well. Kind of cool. All three of them combined sounds like this. It's a bit creepy, but like not too creepy, and not too low end focused. Still has a little bit of brightness coming in there as well, and a bit of wobble as well, which kind of sounds nice. After that as well, following along, we have this space pluck. This one's the low version of it, and it's just another one from Make Pop Music. It's a bit crushed space pluck. And what I've actually done with this particular one is I have gone through, and in the MIDI, I have just created a nice little rhythm, and then I decided to sort of add to following along with the chords of the song to just give it a little bit more movement here. I've then continued that on over to a higher version of the same preset here. And with the low version. Sounds pretty cool. We've also got a low stab here as well, which sounds pretty cool. This is like another preset that I found that sounds like kind of nice. It sits a bit low. And what I've actually done there is I have gone through and adjusted and made some chords following along with that same rhythm that I made for the pluck. And I've just made some of these, I believe, these perfect fifths coming in here to help accentuate that chord and make it sound a bit nicer. So I'll play that. And we've also got the space pluck here and the Moog and the bellies. And we'll have a listen to what they sound like. It's quite cool. And then I've also got this music box preset sound as well. Just adding a little bit more attack, and that is using the same MIDI that we have here for the low stabs too. All of those synths combined. Very cool as it comes in. And then there's a small drop here where I mute everything except for this little dream killer sound here, and also the music box as well. And they've got this coming in. It's a nice little sort of softer pluck, and then that comes in with the music box. And then I'll show you all the synths as it comes in there, plus the drums, guitar, and the 808s as well. So that really just helped make that part of the chorus, like that part of the verse there, from the first part to the second part, have a nice cool transition, and it just really made the song have more movement and definitely helped make it work a lot nicer. So the only other thing that I didn't add before with the vocals was that we do have a vocoder as well in the vocals, which is following along with the MIDI chords that I created for the synths just before. So I've created a preset here. We've got this going as a sidechain following along with this MIDI here, and I've got using BioVox with the epoxy house, and I've sort of adjusted the clarity a little bit there, and I've also got Polyvox going on as well. And following along with the MIDI, have a listen to what it sounds like. I'll play the vocoder on its own first, and then with the main vocal as well, and I'll just put that processing back on to make it sound a bit nicer.
Get drunk, stay up, but I don't wanna grow up anymore.
And across the whole last chorus, I have it happening as well, so it just sounds a little bit nicer.
I know I gotta earn you back. I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times it got so fast. But baby, will you hold my hand? 'Cause
So now that we're back into the mixing session of the song, we can just have a look at those last guitars that were added in as well. And what I've actually gone and done is I've gone and edited all of these guitars, and I've actually had to do a little bit of tuning on the guitars using Cubase Very Audio to be able to get them sounding a little bit more in tune, because they were quite out of tune. And what I've done is I've actually embraced that tuning issue as well in the mix. So we'll have a listen to what they sounded like originally. I'll just get rid of all the processing on the guitars, and we can listen to what the original guitar DI sounded like. So they're kind of okay, but you can hear the tuning artifacts that are in there that I've had to do to get the guitar sounding decently. So what I've done is we've used the THU Slate amp sim again, just because it's easy, and I've gone with a rock guitar one, and we've gone with the shred lead humbucker preset. Just having a look here, we've got the Tube Screamer running on as well, a little bit less drive, not as much level. We're going with this Marcus II lead amp. Volume's all the way up, bass is pretty low, mids about 2 o'clock, as is the treble. The lead drive has been pushed a bit harder, as is the master. The level for the whole amp is down, and the presence is just a bit past midday. And then I've also got going on there, no, that's it. So we'll have a listen to what that sounds like now. It's pretty okay. Definitely needs a bit of work though, so I've done a bit of mixing, removing some low end and some high end with FabFilter and some annoying notch frequencies, especially this one right here. Have a listen to what this EQ is doing. Without. And with. Definitely making it quite usable. And then what we've got going on here is I have the CLA 3A just in mono, just with the electric guitar preset doing some compression. Let's have a listen. It's compressing it quite hard, probably a little bit larger than what I would normally do on something for a song that I would have produced myself. But definitely, I think it needed it to sort of control this guitar a little bit more. And then after that, to make it sound, to sort of embrace the weirdness of the tuning artifacts and things going on, we put a bit of chorus on here. We're going with the Steinberg, the Slate Cubase chorus, just 7% width, 10% mix, sync is 1:1, and I've gone with this waveform here, there on the right. Kind of works a little bit nicer, embraces the sound a bit more. And then we've put on Echo Boy here and just putting a bit of delay on to sort of help make the sound a bit weirder. We've got eighth note delay. Mix is, you know, sort of around 30%, as is the feedback, cutting out some lows and some highs. Saturation's been pushed up a bit, and we're running on a tube tape style here. It's just the dual echo option here. So we'll have a listen to what the delay is doing. It's definitely helping the guitar blend better with the song and sound a bit cooler. And there's a few more things that we've done. We've got Fab Filter here, scooping out some low end at just under 200 and some high end just over 5,000. And we'll have a listen to what that's doing now. That's making it sit a lot nicer in the mix and removing some of that real harshness. There are a few pokey frequencies, but this is lead guitar, so it's going to poke. And then after that, I have some guitar doubler, a plate reverb, and I'm also running it into side widener. So we'll have a listen and see what they are there. So we've got this plate reverb here. I've shown this before. This is the IRL reverb from Waves. I've gone with a large plate. This is a Procrasti M7 preset here that I've thrown in. 100% wet, and it's being sent to this. And we've also got that being filtered, removing just under 100, scooping out this sort of muddy section here at just about 200, quite a lot, minus 14 dB, and then also removing some high end at 5K. And then we're also sending it to Waves Doubler. I've got Doubler 4 Voices preset running on there, and the direct sound is actually being removed. And this is just a send as well. This is all of these are effect sends. And then I'm using Studio EQ just because it's very low on CPU, rolling off some low end at 600 Hertz. And then I'm also running with Side Widener from JST. And with this one, I've got mode 2 running, 100% width, and the tone is sitting at 89. So with all of those playing now, I'll show you what it sounds like. And without them. It's pretty cool. Then what I've done is I've actually got here, this is the main guitar again, and I believe we've pitched it up an octave. Actually, in this particular case, we had it going up an octave here. So that was played up an octave, but I definitely felt like it needed a bit more behind it. So we've actually got a lower octave of it that's been duplicated, and it's been pitched down using a little alter boy here, overdriven a bit more. And then we've got similar kind of things going on with Echo Boy. The processing before it is the same as the other lead guitar, but all I've got going as well is we've got a little bit of reverb here from Verb Suite. I'm just using the digital plate dark 3.3 preset here. We've got a bit of pre-delay. The attack has been adjusted. Nothing going on with the EQ, and it was sitting at 30% wet. I'll just adjust that back. and let's have a listen. Sounds pretty cool. There's one other part as well here of the lead guitar, and I'll play the rhythms and the lead so that you can hear it. And I've added in this low octave as well. And I can see now, I remember why I thought it was high, because I've actually got some automation going here where I adjust the pitch of Little Old Boy, and this part here is all an octave up. And then it changes back down to an octave down, and then it goes back to an octave up as well. At the end, I've put the lead guitar back in over the top of the chorus. Let's have a listen.
I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times have gone so fast. But baby, would you hold my hand in last? I know I gotta earn you back.
And I'll just show you that without the vocals, so we'll just turn the vocals off. So just as a comparison, what we're going to do right now is we're going to have a listen to the original last chorus just one more time.
I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times have gone so fast.
And then the updated mix version.
I know the shit I said was whack. I know the times have gone so fast. But baby,
Pretty stark contrast.
So there you go. I tried, and I think we kind of succeeded to get that mix sounding pretty decent. There's definitely other techniques that could be used to clean up the vocals and enhance the song, but the best way to avoid this is to actually have the song engineered really well at the start. In fact, a lot of your favorite songs have been recorded by fantastic producers. If you want further help on this, don't forget we've got that free vocal production course available, and let me know your favorite track that's got some killer vocals on it. Drop a comment below. But for now, take it easy.